This week on Full Circle Florida, the Drominator. We take you inside the war room where drones are racing to stop school shooters before they fire a single shot. Is this hero technology the future of Florida schools? We'll take you there. His ads are everywhere, but is Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins running for governor? The war veteran racking up publicity. Jacob Reyes is here on what's behind the delayed announcement and how President Trump's influence looms over the governor's race in Florida. Marjorie Taylor Greene just rage quit Congress after nuking Trump, and the GOP whispers this week are that she's the first domino to fall. Are more Republicans resigning? We'll talk about it. And brand new candidate James Fishback calls Byron Donalds a slave. Did he just kill his campaign before it even started? Dr. Susan McManus with the early readout on 26, who has a serious chance and who's seriously kidding themselves and wasting our time. First up on Full Circle Florida, turning drones into first responders. It's Florida's latest weapon to take down a school shooter. Drones launched in a matter of seconds with a mission to stop any threat. Investigative reporter Katie LaGrone traveled to Texas to take you inside the command center where drone pilots who are not much older than the students they're trained to protect are about to launch their skills inside Florida school districts.
What is this room?
Yeah, so this is one of the rooms where we would have one team. The whole team consists of 11 different people. We have 4 pilots, 2 on that side, 2 on that side. The commander sits in the middle.
If this looks and sounds like a page out of a U.S. military command center,
Just to my right would be the threat trackers.
that's exactly what Bill King and his team are aiming for.
And we are leaning so far forward that only one pilot can go to the bathroom at a time.
No kidding.
Yeah, I mean, if we're going to make a decision in 5 seconds.
That decision, how to stop a school shooter before they get the chance to kill.
I wish we didn't have this problem. What I think we've got here is a solution that can bypass politics.
A former Navy SEAL, King piloted Predator drones for the U.S. military overseas, which is why cybersecurity expert Justin Marston tapped him to partner up on his latest and perhaps most consequential business endeavor. Ending mass school shootings in the U.S., not with guns and ammunition, but drones and expert precision.
How the heck did this idea come up?
I had the idea originally just looking at how successful these little drones were against people with guns in Ukraine, and then looking at Parkland and Uvalde and shootings like that. Most of the death happens in the first 2 minutes. So the challenge was, how do you get something that's instantaneous but elite and still affordable?
Here's how it works. Schools would be equipped with a few dozen drones stored in strategic locations across campus. Once an alert is triggered, the encrypted drones designed for low delay are deployed and within seconds are airborne by professional drone pilots who control these high-flying devices from this command center in Austin, more than 1,000 miles away from Florida.
Once these drones are activated, timing is everything. Within 5 seconds, they're deployed. 15 seconds, they've already engaged the shooter. And by 1 minute, they've taken the shooter down.
There's some that are dedicated to window breaking, so we can essentially pick which drone we want to use and go after them.
Mason Lively is among the professional drone pilots recruited to fly. If he looks young, he is.
I've got to ask you, how old are you?
I'm 25.
But his early career already includes drone development, and he's a world champion drone racer. It's a thing in how most of these young pilots were recruited.
Still doing the racing, still go around and do all that for fun. Less so than like a job now.
For Lively, landing his gig as a full-time drone racing champ to fly as a full-time guardian angel was personal.
I graduated high school in 2018, and I grew up in Florida, in Melbourne, Florida. So
No kidding.
yeah, I had friends of friends that went to Parkland. So I was very aware of that and very aware of what happened there. And then when they talked about what they were going to do here, that's a big reason why I came up.
Are you a little nervous?
I mean, I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little bit nervous. I think, preparation can kill that, right? So if you're prepared and we're training all the time.
The team's ultimate goal, buy time for first responders and then navigate them to exactly where a shooter is located.
If we can get a shooter to do anything besides shoot people, we're winning, right? If you're shooting at the drone, great. We love that. If you're trying to hit the drone with a broomstick, great. We love that. If you're running from the drones, perfect. So anything that happens that can distract him from what he came there to do.
Including deploying what company leaders call non-lethal distractors. From flashing lights and loud sirens to pellet bangs. And if necessary,
So they're actually going to do a demonstration for us that shows how physical these drones can get. Ooh, wow.
according to the K-12 school shooting database, since the 2018 high school shooting in Parkland, more than 60 school shootings have been reported in Florida alone, among the highest nationwide. While these drones are expected to launch in Colorado, Virginia, and Texas, Florida is the first state in the country to approve state funding for them. Last session, state lawmakers, determined not to repeat Parkland, approved $557,000 to test these drones in 3 school districts. The state has yet to announce where, but King says they've already received the blessing from several Parkland parents, including Max Schachter, whose 17-year-old son Alex was among the victims there.
The first time we showed it to him, he's like, I have seen a lot of stuff since my son died. This is the only thing I've seen that could have saved his life.
What did that mean to you when you heard him say that?
That's what we want to do, right? I mean, the best feeling in the world is to rescue a hostage. And that's what we're going to do here.
High tech, high flying, and high hopes these drones might be one more weapon for the good guys to stop the bad guys on campus from becoming deadly. In Austin, Texas, I'm Katie LaGrone, Tampa Bay 28.
Next on Full Circle Florida, the ads, the appearances, the buzz. So what is Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins waiting for? A peek behind the scenes next. Welcome back, everyone, here to Full Circle Florida. Jacob Reyes from Axios Tampa Bay joining us right now. Jacob, you recently published a couple of stories you've been working on. Let's dive into this Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins stuff first, because everyone has seen these ads. They've been airing in prime time during college football games all over the state. It feels like a soft launch for his governor run without him straight up saying it. What do you think the play is here from Camp DeSantis? Are they testing the waters quietly? Or is this something smarter to build buzz without the full scrutiny? I just had him on the show a couple of weeks ago. I asked him, are you running or not? And he kind of like, had an interesting answer. It sounded like they were getting closer to a decision, but he wouldn't announce.
I think it's a little bit of playing catch up here. Byron Donalds has been campaigning. He's raised a large sum of money. And so I think they're trying to play catch up a little bit, and they're starting to get a lot more aggressive with their messaging. And seeing these dark money ads go out during some of the most watched games, I think, it says a lot, especially, before an interview in which he almost said, outright says that he is, in fact, running.
Well, you mentioned dark money, by the way, and that's important. So the money that's paying for these ads can't exactly be traced to a particular source?
Exactly. We checked the records on that, and a company was formed only a couple of days before this ad went out, and it was under kind of like a company to avoid putting somebody's actual name on there.
Which is legal. I mean, that's allowed. It's just, It's one of those things where, as journalists, we want to know who's giving money, contributing money, and that makes it a little harder to find out. So Collins is going head to head with, theoretically, let's just say he's running, right? He would go head to head with Byron Donalds, who, of course, got Trump's endorsement. DeSantis handpicked Collins to be in that lieutenant governor position. So it kind of feels like another round of DeSantis-Trump tension bubbling up. Do you think this announced later deal is them sort of dodging a direct feud, or is there some sort of strategic hesitation? Are they waiting on polls? Are they waiting on donors to kind of back Collins and see how much money they can get before they run?
I think originally, what I was hearing from sources was that he would announce in October. But I think with everything kind of going on, they're holding their breath a bit. I think the reason they're getting so aggressive and they're inching closer and closer is because Byron is leading the pack right now. More people are joining the field, and I think, in some ways I think they're trying to avoid a repeat of DeSantis' presidential campaign, but they're making a lot of the same decisions.
Do you think that Donald's Trump endorsement for Donald's holds? Do you think Trump could change his mind and just say, I like Collins too? Or is this a proxy war between DeSantis and Trump, and DeSantis, despite his best efforts to ingratiate himself with the Don, is still on the outside looking in?
I think this was purely personal for Trump when he endorsed Donald's. Donald's was trying all the way back in 2023 to curry favor with Trump by endorsing him over DeSantis, while many of his colleagues did other things. So I think Trump did this on purpose. I don't think he reneges on this. I don't think he endorses Jay Collins. I think he's going to stick to it, and I think this is Trump, getting DeSantis back for what he saw as betrayal.
How important then is it for Collins to win if he actually does end up running for DeSantis? Because it would seem that DeSantis would want to make this count if he has any political aspirations beyond 2026.
Well, I think if Collins were to lose, that'd be chopping off DeSantis' legs, right?
Yeah.
DeSantis wants to feel like he's still kingmaker in Florida, and the ad that aired recently displayed Collins as the natural heir to DeSantis' legacy. So if he wins, that continues to give DeSantis a bit of an assist, staying in the news for 2028.
Right, because you got all of 2027 before 28 if DeSantis would run for president again. Jacob Reyes from Axios Tampa Bay. Appreciate your insight as always. Thank you. Next on Full Circle Florida, is there a MAGA divorce in the making? What Marjorie Taylor Greene's sudden departure could signal for the midterms. Welcome back, everyone, to Full Circle Florida. Our political analyst, Dr. Susan McManus, joining us right now. So let's talk about the midterms, looking ahead to 2026. Things starting to come together. Democrats coming off those key off-year elections, key victories earlier this month. And then you've got Marjorie Taylor Greene attacking President Trump for focusing too much on other countries, not enough on America first. Also, his initial refusal to release the Epstein files. She said she's going to quit Congress because the two parties are ripping this country apart. That was in her statement. What do you make of her recent activity? I mean, she's been showing different sides of herself. She went on The View, she went on Bill Maher. Not the same kind of Marjorie Taylor Greene, at least not the same that the media would have you believe. Is she aiming for something else here? There are whispers of a 28 run.
There are as many comments out there as you can imagine. Some people think that she's retiring now because she's just eligible for a pension. Others think she's thinking about running for another office. There's a lot of different thoughts on that, but I think it's important that you realize that a lot of other Congress members are also deciding not to run. There are about almost 40 in the House that have decided they're not running for that position. Again, some are running for other positions, but of the 14 who have decided they've had it, there are 9 Democrats and 5 Republicans, including Green. So this is not an unusual thing.
So it breaks more for Democrats than Republicans. It's interesting you mentioned that because Vanity Fair did this article this week in which they said Green's divorce from Trump, from MAGA, is the first domino that there are other Republican members who are growing increasingly frustrated with how the White House, or rather how the White House and Speaker Johnson has been treating them. And just a quote from the article, this entire White House team has treated members like garbage, and Mike Johnson has let it happen. Is this sort of this hangover effect from the shutdown? And I wonder how much of this also is looking past Donald Trump's era, because he's sort of in the sunset phase of his presidency. You got to be thinking beyond Trump. What does life look like in the GOP after he's no longer president?
Well, it was interesting. By the time the shutdown was over, the polls were showing an almost equal division between blaming one or the other, but by far more people blame both parties for the impasse in Congress. In terms of looking at Trump right now and the party itself, it's not at all unusual for, let's start with the Democrats, to already start using, oh, he's a lame duck. In other words, to try to make people think that he's not as strong as he was, and maybe in their minds it might encourage a few Republicans who might have been worried that if they stepped on Trump's feet, he might have run somebody against them. There's a lot of that, but it is not at all unusual for people to start talking about what after Trump. nor is it unusual right now. We have polls out there every day looking at who are the possible people running for the presidency in 2028 from the Democrats. So you have names like AOC, obviously Newsom, and now Ted Cruz on the Republican side, and Vance and so forth. So everybody's rushing to look ahead, but it does make it difficult to say that, well, things are going to be exactly the same now for Republicans as they're going to be a couple years
And meanwhile, it would be nice if they didn't worry so much about running the horse race and actually, addressing the real problems.
Yes.
So this guy Fishback, he's 30 years old. He announced his candidacy for governor of Florida, and on day one called Congressman Byron Donalds, who Trump endorsed, and I'm quoting, a slave. Did he just kill his campaign?
It was certainly not the wisest thing to do, let's face it. For a lot of Republicans, they were really excited that they were making inroads into the black vote. And, you have somebody like this who's using the term slave that's running as a Republican. It was not a very astute thing to do. Yeah. That's the first thing you say that gets a lot of press coverage. Not a good look.
Do we already know who has a real chance and who's wasting our time? Or are we still waiting on a serious contender to come
Well,
through
right
here?
now we know that there are three, obviously. Byron Donalds, there's Paul Renner, former Speaker of the House, and now James Fishback, an entrepreneur. But other names that are still out there are alive. Jay Collins, a lot of ads being run for him. Also, there's talk of even Wilton Simpson, the current Commissioner of Agriculture, might throw his hat in the ring. And there's always the wild card of Casey DeSantis.
I'm curious what you thought of the Trump-Mandani meeting in the White House. It struck me as sort of a symbol of Trumpism. Two guys that have called each other everything, all kind of insults, but there they are smiling. Trump has done this before with other people that he's insulted, brought them in, and it looks all hunky-dory. Is this proof that politics is fake, or is it more unique to Donald Trump and how he operates?
Well, some of each, depending on who you're talking to. But I think the bottom line was a lot of people were tuned in. They thought it was going to be just two firebrands insulting each other and be really a great word fight to watch in. But a lot more people were thrilled that it looked like there was at least some air of civility between people that are very different in their backgrounds. And of course, the bottom line is that hardcore Republicans think that Trump got the best of the opponent. And of course, proponents of Donnie think that he got the best. So there you go.
And then at the end of the day, they kind of have to find a way to work together. New York is too important to just kind of like forget about for the next 4 years. Trump has a lot of investments there. Well, I wanted to get your take on AI. I could go through the next minute here, but what do you think it's becoming a political issue yet, or are we still waiting to see how this is going to unfold in terms of politicians having to answer for its impact on the American economy?
It's starting to have a lot of impact, particularly among the younger demographic, because they're really the ones that are subjected to the loss of the entry-level jobs. It's going to be a big mess. The real challenge that will change everything is the first kind of major incident where AI information was wrong that led to someone's death or some demise of some company. Then I think it will become very political, particularly if the government can't agree on what to do.
All right, Dr. McManus, hang with me. We got final thoughts coming our way next. Stay tuned. Welcome back to Full Circle Florida, everyone. Back with our guest, Dr. Susan McManus. So, final thoughts for this week as we head into the holiday season. Here we go.
Well, besides trying to get your shopping done now where the bargains are still around and you still have a little bit of money, from a political perspective, what you have at the local level is a lot of gatherings of different party groups talking about 2026 because, after all, it's right around the corner.
Do Democrats have a plan? I mean, are they going to try to be competitive at least?
Absolutely, and they feel like they'll be able to get some money coming out of the DCCC, that's the National Democratic Group. And they feel like that their candidate, particularly in the governor's race, is strong, but we shall see.
Yeah, 2026, really almost a month away.
They got to register more voters. That's their biggest challenge.
Right, 1.4 million between the two. Dr. McManus, thank you. Thank you for watching us. We'll see you again here next week.